The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm inside me. Alaric, a 43-year-old IT specialist from Seattle, stared out the window of our Queen Anne home, the city lights blurring through the downpour. Eleanor, my wife of 15 years, was supposed to be at a conference in Chicago, a cybersecurity summit she'd been looking forward to for months. Or so I thought. The suspicion had started subtly, a nagging unease that I initially dismissed as stress. Eleanor had always been meticulous, organized, but lately her phone was glued to her hand, angled away from me. She'd snap it shut when I entered the room, her explanations vague, dismissive. Work stuff, Alaric, she'd say, her eyes darting away. Then there were the late nights. The urgent projects that kept her at the office until midnight, sometimes later. I'd make dinner, a simple pasta or grilled chicken, and eat alone, the silence amplifying my growing anxiety. I tried to talk to her to reconnect, but she was distant, preoccupied. I'm just tired, Alaric, she'd sigh, turning away in bed. I wanted to believe her. I loved her. We'd built a life together, a comfortable, predictable life. We had friends, a cozy home, annual vacations to the Oregon coast. But the doubts persisted, festering like a wound. The first concrete clue came unexpectedly. I was working from home one afternoon, troubleshooting a particularly nasty network issue. Eleanor had left for work early, claiming a crucial meeting with a client. As I was rummaging through her desk for a spare USB drive, I found a receipt tucked inside a drawer. It was for a small, intimate restaurant downtown, dated for last night. Eleanor hadn't mentioned going out. The name on the receipt wasn't hers. My heart pounded in my chest. I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. A business dinner, a friend's birthday. But the restaurant was known for its romantic ambience, its dimly lit corners, its whispered conversations. I tried to call Eleanor, but she didn't answer. I left a message, trying to sound casual. Hey hun, just wondering how the conference is going. Call me when you get a chance. Hours passed. No call. The knot in my stomach tightened. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That evening, fueled by a potent mix of anxiety and desperation, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I logged into our shared computer and checked her email. I knew it was a violation of her privacy, a betrayal of our trust. But I had to know the truth. The password was easy to guess: our anniversary date. I felt a surge of guilt as I typed it in, but the need for answers outweighed my reservations. Her inbox was filled with emails from her colleagues, routine work correspondence. But then I saw it. An email with the subject line, "Thinking of you." My hands trembled as I clicked on it. The email was from someone named Kyan. The message was short, but its implications were devastating. Can't wait to see you in Chicago, counting down the hours. There was a heart emoji at the end. My world tilted on its axis. Chicago, but she was already supposed to be there. This meant she was meeting someone she was clearly intimate with. I scrolled through the rest of the emails. There were dozens of them spanning several months. Kyan was a colleague of Eleanor's, a project manager from the Chicago office. The emails were filled with veiled innuendo, longing, and explicit declarations of love. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The air was sucked out of my lungs, my vision blurred. I stumbled back from the computer, collapsing onto the chair. The room spun around me. This couldn't be happening. Not to me. Not to us. I reread the emails, searching for some kind of explanation, some glimmer of hope that I was misinterpreting things. But the truth was undeniable. Eleanor was having an affair. A long, drawn-out, emotionally charged affair. The rain outside intensified, drumming against the windows like a relentless accusation. I sat there for hours, numb, unable to process what I'd just discovered. The woman I loved, the woman I'd shared my life with, had betrayed me in the most profound way imaginable. When Eleanor finally called, it was late. I picked up the phone, my voice trembling. "Hey, Alaric," she said, her tone cheerful, oblivious. "Everything going okay at home?" I couldn't bring myself to confront her directly. "Not yet." "Yeah, everything's fine," I managed to say, my voice thick with unshed tears. "Just missing you too," she said, her voice sounding distant, almost detached. "I'll be home on Friday." "Okay," I said, and hung up the phone. I felt like I was suffocating. I couldn't stay in the house. I needed to get out, to breathe, to think. I grabbed my jacket and stumbled out into the rain. I walked aimlessly through the streets of Queen Anne, the city lights blurring through my tears. I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do. All I knew was that my life had been irrevocably shattered. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions of my job, but I was barely functioning. I replayed the emails in my head over and over again, each reading a fresh stab wound. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was consumed by rage, grief, and a bone-deep sense of betrayal. I considered confronting Alina the moment she walked through the door. I imagined screaming at her, demanding answers, unleashing all the pent-up anger and pain that had been building inside me. But I knew that wouldn't accomplish anything. She'd deny it, lie, manipulate. She'd probably try to blame me. I needed proof. Concrete, undeniable proof. I needed to expose her affair, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of my sanity. I decided to hire a private investigator. I found one online, a discreet, professional woman named Ingrid. I met her at a coffee shop downtown and laid out the situation, showing her the emails, explaining my suspicions. Ingrid listened patiently, her expression impassive. "I can help you get the evidence you need," she said. "But it's not going to be cheap." I didn't care about the cost. I was willing to spend every penny I had to uncover the truth. "Do whatever it takes," I said. Ingrid got to work immediately. She tracked Alina's movements, monitored her phone calls, and even managed to get a room across the hall from her at the Chicago hotel. The evidence came quickly. Ingrid sent me photos and videos of Alina and Kyan together, holding hands, kissing, entering each other's rooms. There was no doubt in my mind. The affair was real. I felt a strange sense of relief, mixed with a profound sadness. The uncertainty was gone. The truth, however painful, was finally out in the open. I decided to wait until Alina returned from Chicago before confronting her. I wanted to be prepared, to have all my ducks in a row. I consulted with a lawyer who advised me on my legal options. When Alina finally arrived home, she seemed tired but otherwise normal. She hugged me, kissed me, and asked about my week. I forced myself to smile, to act as if nothing was wrong. "How was the conference?" I asked, my voice carefully neutral. "It was good," she said, her eyes darting away. "Lots of interesting presentations. I learned a lot." "Did you?" I said, my voice hardening. "I bet you did." I couldn't hold it in any longer. "I know about Kyan, Alina," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "I know about the affair." Her face paled. She stared at me, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. "What are you talking about?" She stammered. "Don't play dumb with me," I said, my voice rising. "I've seen the emails, I've seen the photos, I know everything." I pulled out my phone and showed her the pictures Ingrid had sent me. Alina stared at them, her face crumbling. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Alaric," she began, her voice choked with emotion. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Just don't. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear your lies. It just happened," she sobbed. "It wasn't supposed to, it just happened." I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You spent months planning this affair, sending emails, booking hotel rooms. It didn't just happen, Alina. You made a conscious choice to betray me." "I'm so sorry," she cried. "I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did hurt me," I said, my voice breaking. "You shattered my heart. You destroyed our marriage." I told her to leave. I couldn't bear to look at her any longer. I packed her bags and left them on the porch. She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance, but I was done. I was finished. She left, sobbing, her world collapsing around her. I watched her drive away, feeling a strange mix of relief and despair. I was free, but I was also alone. The divorce was swift and brutal. Alina fought me on everything, trying to minimize her responsibility, to protect her reputation. But I had the evidence, and the judge sided with me. She received a fraction of what she was hoping for. I later found out that Kyan had left his wife for Alina, only to realize that she wasn't the person he thought she was. He ended things with her a few months after our divorce was finalized. Alina was left alone, ostracized by her friends and colleagues, her life in ruins. I didn't take any pleasure in her suffering. I just wanted to move on, to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy. The pain of betrayal lingered for a long time, but I eventually started to heal. I focused on my work, my friends, my hobbies. I even started dating again. One evening, a few years after the divorce, I ran into Alina at a local grocery store. She looked older, worn down. She saw me and her face paled. She tried to turn away, but I stopped her. "Alina," I said, my voice calm. She looked at me, her eyes filled with shame. Alaric, she said softly, how are you? I asked. I'm okay, she said. Things are difficult. I didn't press her. I didn't want to gloat or rub salt in her wounds. I just wanted to acknowledge her, to show her that I had moved on. I hope things get better for you, I said. Thank you, she said, her voice barely a whisper. We stood there for a moment in silence. Then I smiled, a genuine smile, and walked away. I didn't look back. I had survived the betrayal. I had rebuilt my life. I had found peace. And that, I realized, was the best revenge of all.